It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Artisha. Did I get it right? Artisha?
You, yes, sir.
Yay, Artisha, who's in the building. And she'll be talking about, well, unlocking your calling and walking in it. We'll figure out what that is in a moment. What's going on, Artisha? How you doing?
First, Jay, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm doing fantastic because I am in your company as well as this beautiful audience. So I cannot and wouldn't even dare to complain.
Well, good. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Before we get started, because folks will go back and they'll read your bio, they'll see how famous you are all over the world. So we'll get to that in a moment. But
Yes.
when you talk about unlocking your calling, just so we can all be on the same page, it could be a cliche for some, maybe some know, maybe some don't know. What does unlocking your calling even mean so we can all be on the same page of what we're talking about tonight?
I'm so glad that you want to open this way because the thing about it is people think that they have to do something more, have something more, gain something more. They need to lose weight, they need to get another degree, they need to save up all this money before they can walk in their calling, before they can be what it is that they're meant to be. But unfortunately, it's still like a secret that's being kept, and it shouldn't be. Your calling is who you are always meant to be, and it doesn't have to be found under the sofa cushions like a lost sock. Your calling is deep within inside you, and you just must do your soul work in order to unlock it, to live your best life now, because you're connecting with who you were placed on this earth to be from the beginning to end.
I love that. And you mentioned the word live your best life. That can mean different things to different people these days. Take a moment with that big CEO right there. We all see it. We love it, by the way. You're the CEO of your life. Take a moment and what does live your best life mean to you?
Shay, let me tell you something. There was a time, the reason that I'm even an entrepreneur now is because I found myself in a near death experience. I wrote a book all about it. We can talk about that in a little bit. But I had to make a decision when I was faced with over $100,000 of medical bills, could not return to work. I had to decide what I wanted to do with my life. I had already spent over 18 years climbing the corporate ladder. I did government, nonprofit, corporate, all of that. But at the end of the day, none of that fulfilled me. I was a great worker, amazing work ethic, all of the things, got accolades and things like that. But I really just wasn't fulfilled. I was left every day feeling so empty. And it wasn't until my body caused me to have to be very still, very quiet, and tune in to what was really going on in my soul that I understood, okay, you've been doing it wrong this entire time. And what I now know is living your best life isn't chasing accolades, money, and it isn't necessarily climbing that corporate ladder. It is doing what is going to give you joy and what is going to make you fulfilled. And it all starts within. It's not anything outwardly. It's not going to come from a romantic relationship or anything really that you could do career wise per se. It's going to be really digging into what is inside and then walking it out. And I think too many of us do it the opposite way.
Great segue, by the way, because as you were saying that, you were starting to give us a sneak preview. We now have context. Someone's wanting Shay. I didn't get a chance to read her bio. Shay, I have not had a chance to go look at her website. Shay, I don't know this person. I haven't Googled her yet, but I like what I'm hearing. What's her backstory, Shay, that has led her to doing what she's doing now. So you know where I'm going. What's the backstory that has led you to doing what you're doing these days?
So listen, in 2008, I believe it or not, I'm still cute hair, cute lipstick, all of the things, but all of this was masked under a hard hat, construction hat, that ugly highlighter colored vest, and those steel-toed boots because I was working as a construction worker on a nuclear power site. Listen, they said that this was one of the most sought after jobs, and they opened it, and I said, hey, if they're crazy enough to let me come in there, I'll do it. And that Shay wound up being my last traditional job because it was there that I found myself being succumbed to congestive heart failure and respiratory failure. I would then go on to spend more than 26 days in a hospital. I slipped into a coma 3 times. And as I tell this story, I always say, I literally had one foot in the grave. And it was there in a hospital bed. I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, but I just have to tell my testimony. In a hospital bed in one of our local hospitals, and I had been to all of them with this ordeal, that I was fighting for my life. And I realized that even though it was very, very dark, there was some light still shining on the inside of me that let me know it wasn't the end. And so when I turned that corner in my mind and I said, okay, no, I have to fight. I cannot just give up. I understood right there in that hospital bed that okay, no, I'm no longer fighting just for my literal life and breath. But now this is a legacy. This is a legacy thing because when I was having very real conversations with my mother and husband of what I thought would be needing to be my final arrangements, okay? And they didn't want to believe it, but I said, "No, y'all, I'm feeling things shutting down." It went from that to a resurgence and an opening up. And then that is where, literally, right there in the hospital, where I birthed my first book and I began the path to entrepreneurship, which I am full time now.
Wow, thanks for sharing. Thanks for being so transparent. You know, when you were in that moment and you kind of understood what your I would say your purpose is and why you're
hmm
here, how did you feel in that moment?
I'll be honest, even though I was hooked up to every machine, I was being poked, prodded, and monitored in ways that most people don't understand unless you've literally probably been caring for someone disabled or the elderly. And even though all of these things were going on with my body, with my family, everything that was surrounding the situation, I still had a joy and a light deep on the inside of me. And there was something where I really went from depression to declaration. I went literally from praying for death, saying, I cannot do this anymore. This cannot be my life. This cannot be my future. To saying, you know what? No, it's not. It's not. And so it was the most peace and the most fulfillment up to that point that I had ever experienced. It was outside of my wedding day. It was probably one of the best days of my life. It was just an inner knowing and knowing that life as I once knew was no more.
You know, as you were speaking, thinking, you had to go through something to get there. And what do you say to the person out there that wants to try to identify their purpose, or I don't know if you help them with that, or identify what they're here for, but they're not going through that type of traumatic experience? Is there something you can recommend to them? They're like, whoa, Shay, I mean, I have not experienced that, but I do want to walk in my purpose. I do want to do what I'm supposed to do and unlock this inner self inside of me. Is there one, two, or three things you even suggest to anyone these days?
Absolutely. And so I actually have made it my mission because I went through that trauma. I don't want anyone else, because shame on me if I have gone through landmine, and I've gotten my foot blown off. And then I turn around and I let my brothers, my sisters go and travel that same path. Why? It would almost be a waste, right? So I feel like it is my purpose, my calling to pass on the information of you don't have to have your quiet, still, come to Jesus, as they say, moment. You don't have to have that unlocking by way of hospital bed like me. You don't have to have it by way of near death experience. You can retreat if necessary, and we can talk about that in a little bit, but get away to get that still quiet time to really do the soul work and have a conversation with yourself, first of all, of what is it that I really want in my life and what is it that I really want my legacy to be. For me, because I had run from it for so long. So, Che, if I could just take just a moment to share with you.
Go ahead, please. Please share.
I come from a long line of ministers. I've known since my late teens, early 20s, that I was a ministry gift, that I would eventually be doing it full time. But I literally, as a teenager, and I'm laughing because I can remember so clearly the conversation that I had with God. And prayer isn't always on your knees, closing your eyes, and with a cover on your head. It's literally just crying out to God. And I said to him, I said, okay, that's cool. I said, but preachers don't make no money. So I plan to marry well. I plan to climb the corporate ladder and conquer corporate America. And then 50 or 60 years old, then I'll get into this preaching thing and then I'll have some good stuff to preach about. I said that to God. I zipped that up in a Ziploc bag and I went on to living my life for the next 20 years. And I believe that there was a moment when life, the Lord, and my body said, hey, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I believe that because I had not answered fully the calling of my heart, that it played out in a physical way. And that caused my heart to not function properly scientifically. And the thing about it is, you will know, and you have seen studies in all of the major medical journals, that people of faith, people that have tapped into a higher calling, they are better off health wise. They live longer and they have better lives. It's a science to it. And so I apologize that I can't quote directly, but anyone with Google access to Google can look it up. And I am a proof of that. I came through it myself. And even my doctors noticed that the first few days when I was in my depressive state, things looked one way in my physical body, in the charts and the tests that they were running. But when I got very quiet and I decided, okay, no, I'm fighting the wrong fight. I'm fighting the wrong fight. And I've given up on one thing, but needing to step into this other thing, which is my purpose, which is to share this experience with others so that, again, they don't have to discover these things about themselves in the way that I did. And it was miraculous, Shay. It was miraculous what my body began to do after I started having these conversations. Believe it or not, I began to talk to the nurses, the doctors. I began to talk to the folks in housekeeping, the folks that were bringing the lunch trays in. Everyone who would come, I would acknowledge them. I would ask them how they were, despite me looking crazy and feeling not great at the time. My body began to turn around when I turn my focus from selfish interest outward. And I understood then that the life of service that I knew I was meant for was what was causing my mind and my physical body to have its own transformation. And that is what I help coach women and entrepreneurs to walk through because many of us that have callings on our life, well, everybody has a calling on their life, but certain callings that you have on your life will cause you to have to do certain uncoverings in your soul work. For some, it may be a forgiveness. For some, it may be understanding that what they wanted and intended to do in their career may be different. For some people, even coming to the understanding that I really thought that if I got this certain position, or if I did become the CEO, the president, the board member, that I would have that joy, that I would sleep well at night, that the bank account would make me happy, as we talk about, being a happy entrepreneur, a happy CEO. But realizing that it didn't is really a, a bombshell for someone. And so I've been able to guide folks through the process of what that really means without it having to be so devastating and traumatic.
Wow, that's very powerful. You're making a difference for a number of folks. I can feel your heart. We can feel your passion. As you were speaking, I think this directly ties in to the best-selling book you have. Is that correct? The patient is wearing pink lipstick. Is that correct? How did you come up with that
Yes,
title? One, because the title was pretty cool. And then I guess the second part of the question is resilience. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of
yes,
resilience inside of there as well. Take a moment and
mhm,
talk about the power of resilience.
yes. And that I have to correct you just a little bit because you're my brother and you don't mind. It's the patient is wearing lipstick. The patient
Ah, the patient
is
is wearing
wearing
lipstick. Thank you so
lipstick.
much.
Yes. And of course I would love for folks to grab the book. This isn't necessarily about that, but being able to walk through and hear the details of the story because I was navigated not only from um, the near death experience and having to be on medications and doctor visits and everything. I was also on the brink of divorce. So my husband and I were on the outs at the time, but God bless him and him being the man of integrity that he is, even though he was working out of state at the time. Every instance where I had to present at the hospital, he drove 7+ hours to be at my side because his soul was knit with mine. His soul was knit with mine. And I believe, and I've said this to him in so many words, I believe that the yearning in his soul was tied to mine, and that he knew that together there was something that the world had to experience, and that it was not my time. It was not my time to be done with the things that I had to offer the earth. So I do want to, and I also, you have heard me say that I come from a long line of preachers, so I can be a little long-winded. So by all means, you can interrupt me if you need to, but I want
Absolutely.
to,
But you're doing well. This is important. The message needs to be heard.
and I appreciate that. Um, and to answer the previous question a little bit better, you said, is there something that you recommend? I am a transformational life coach. Okay. I believe firmly in empowerment, I believe in confidence and clarity. So, my number one recommendation for anyone who has a question about your calling, why am I here? What am I meant to be? What am I meant to do? Why don't I feel joy every day? What is it about this hustle and bustle that's taking its toll on me? And I'm just feeling burnt out. I'm not loving this anymore. And I believe that if we go down that list of questions, all of us have been there, done that at some point. I am going to recommend that you work with a coach. I would love to help and we'll share my information at the end. But at the same time, I know I'm not for everybody and I don't even have the access and availability to help everyone. But I believe that this is going to be the most important work of your life, being brave and asking yourself, what is it that I want for my life? And what is it that I want to leave behind when I'm no longer here? It has to be more than just zeros in the bank account. It has to be more than just houses and land. We have to get to a place where our resiliency, where the things that we are fighting for and giving our life force to means something. That's why I'm also passionate about authorship. The Patient is Wearing Lipstick is number one Amazon bestseller. I'm so grateful. I've actually had the pleasure to be that title 3 times, but this was the one that meant the most to me because I was single author. So I've done collaborative projects, and Shay and I have even collaborated on some things, different conferences or what have you. But this one has meant the most because this is my memoir that talks about my darkest moment in my life. And I'm not just saying this because I wrote it. It reads like a movie, you all. It reads like a movie because it's unreal the things that I experienced at just the age of 38 years old. Even the doctors thinking that, like literally walking into the uh, to my patient room with a shock on their face. And I caught them every time because they can't believe that this is a 38-year-old versus a 88-year-old. The condition of my heart and lungs at the time, the way my chart read was something phenomenal. But having something to fight for so that you can fight through life's challenges as they're presented to you. The turning around point for me, Shay, was when I laid in that hospital bed, and it was a low moment. I thank God that I wasn't left there for so long. But when I truly thought it was the end, like I said, when I was having conversations with my mom and with my husband about, hey, this, like literally, whoever wants to see me, tell them to come to the hospital because this is going to be it. Like I began having those conversations at night. I laid down and I said, I don't have birth children, but I have now 15 nieces and nephews. I'm blessed and I'm grateful. And I consider them my babies. I always tell my sister and brother, those are my babies. Y'all just had them. And when I laid up there and I thought to myself, and I could see these babies' faces come before my eyes, I said, this cannot be what I'm leaving for them. I'm leaving for them jokes, and because we razz each other a lot. So all I'm leaving for these kids are nice clothes and funny jokes. Like these kids are going to go through my clothes and jewelry and say, I'll remember her by this. I'll wear this ring or I'll have this coat and I'll remember her by. And I was so hurt. I was so hurt. I did not feel that I had left a legacy of real integrity and purpose for them. And that hurt me more than anything. That hurt me to my heart. And that was the cusp and the turning point when I decided, okay, if this isn't truly the end, because again, as the days went on, it's like, okay, I didn't wake up in glory yet. Like I don't see the angels. There's no pearly gates. I'm still here with this monitor beeping and these people coming in poking me and stuff.
Yeah.
So if this is not the end, if I'm meant to continue, I'm going to do things differently and I'm going to make these babies proud of me. They'll be able to say, no, that's my aunt. She changed my life and she changed the world. And that's what I have gone about doing since then.
Very powerful, by the way. And we can hear your passion. We can hear it pouring out of you, ladies and gentlemen. You can see she was on her. She was there. I mean, she was like in that moment. Um,
Mhm.
Let me change a little bit if I can. One of my questions
Sure.
I love to ask when we have time, and I love to get your opinion on it, is what's
Mhm.
one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll frame it for the audience because you had lots of mentors, I'm sure, along this journey of life. You read more
Mhm.
books than you can remember these days. Who knows how many videos we watch? I don't know how many hours of video I watch anymore. Between me doing like this with my thumb, I'm probably 10,000 plus hours every weekend. I have no idea. But the question that I do have is, if you think back and say, "Wow, Shay, here's one of the best pieces of advice that ever been given to me that I want to share with the audience," what would it be and why?
Oh, I love this question. I'm so happy that you asked me because the very best advice, and like you said, I've gotten a ton. I've had mentors from, preteens, and, I'm 45 now. The very best advice that I have ever received has come from my spiritual father, who is the pastor of our church here. And he said this to me. He said, "You cannot gloss over the dark parts of your story. He said, you can't keep telling this abridged version of the things that you have been through. And I was so shocked. I was really taken aback. This was completely out of the blue, completely unprovoked. He just said this to me. And then he went on to say, if you want, you can give folks a heads up to let them know that they may be implicated in your story. He says, but someone's deliverance is in your mouth, and you must tell your full story. And I said, wow. And from that, I mean, that lit a fire under me because I definitely was being careful and kind of beating around the bush about how I shared things, even things that had gone on prior to in the marriage, which I share with you. My husband and I were on the rocks at the time when I went through this major medical trauma. And so he was the only person, like I had him on my list. I had my mom, and there probably was another person. So he was my first phone call because, again, he was still working out of state at the time. And he was just like, no, he was like, we are in this together and we are in this forever. He said, the past is behind us. And once he said that, it was no holds barred. And that is what was helping me to birth The Patient is Wearing Lipstick. That is what has bolstered and been the foundation of everything that I've done. I am not a CEO without that conversation. I am not the wife that I am today, the mentor and coach that I am today without that piece of advice. And then Kim Cole says it like this. She says, you have to be able to share even the yucky parts. He used the word dark. She used the word yucky, because some of that stuff is hurtful. It's painful to even say it. But when you get to have those transparent moments of connection to share your real testimony, your real path and journey forward, that is the most powerful that is the most powerful connection, the most powerful conversations you'll ever have. So that's by far the best advice
Said
I've
well.
ever been given.
Says so well. I wish we had more time, but as we come down the home stretch, because this is helping me, helping a number of folks that are watching right now, a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks best connect with you? Like, where can they go? Where's the website? How should they find you? How should they stay in the conversation so they not only can heal, not only restore, but also live the life that they really, truly deserve and desire?
Yes, unlocking your calling and walking boldly in it is something that every person should do. I don't care if you're 5 or 105, starting on that path and starting on it today. And so I work primarily with women and entrepreneurs. So if you have a business, book, or brand, even a community passion project that you are looking to launch, then I would love to work with you. I specialize in clarity coaching, getting your mind free of those toxic thoughts and unlocking the things that have even tied down your inner child to move towards that healing, growth, and getting you to that next level, whatever that may be. And if someone is not interested in doing a business book nor brand, but they know that is a navigating a life move that they need to make. Maybe you are still climbing a corporate ladder and you want to continue to do that. Then you'll need someone to help you to eradicate different barriers, which again start in the mindset. And so those are the folks that I most want to work with. And I would love for folks to connect with me. Of course, you can follow me on Facebook. It's at Artisha.Bolding. If you enter Artisha T Bolding, you'll find me on all of the socials, but also to visit the website, which is artishabolding.com. And of course, that's ARTISHABOLDING, artishabolding.com for more information on the coaching services and the latest things that we have going on for women and entrepreneurs.
Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it and look forward to continuing to follow your path and your journey.
Thank you so much. It's been a blessing.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So we appreciate you making a choice to be a part of this show. Thank you so much for allowing us to stream in your home. Never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really, really well and you're going to that next level, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing we believe is that today is your January 1st. You get a fresh start. You get a do-over. You get a chance to get it right. And I believe for you, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. We out of here. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. Peace.